can we actually make things easier for the prosecution of cases? Once a woman is raped and violated, or a man or a boy, what are the steps that they should take that ultimately will make your work easier?
Thank you very much. This actually is a great question, because what I'm trying to develop right now is what I'm calling, right, for want of better words, a rape protocol that will be just a very simplified procedure that anyone can follow when you see a rape victim. So it will have to do with what to do if, say, you're a parent and a person comes to you. What do you do? What do you do if you're the police? What do you do if you're the first responder and you're a hospital that is far away from us? I'm trying to see how we can ensure that there are rape kits all over the place, because right now we don't have any. Mm-hmm. They will make it a lot easier for us, because it really means that, for me, I mean, correctly if I'm wrong, I believe that with things like rape kits, you can actually even train the local midwife to ensure that if a rape is brought to her, this is what she needs to do. She doesn't have to clean up the victim. She has to make sure that she takes swabs, she takes samples from the victim. She has to make sure that the victim removes the clothes that she has been wearing during the rape on a piece of paper, a particular piece of paper, so any hairs and anything can drop on. So different things. I mean, the protocol, I think, will help. But for everybody, generally, I think speaking and if we all talk out, I think voices need to be amplified, so people can realize that, oh, even though this is what I secretly believe, but it's actually not politically correct for me to believe this, and so they will act differently. At least they'll pretend, first of all, but hopefully they will improve later. So if you speak out, it'll help, and obviously if you walk your talk, and we all walk our talk. So when you have the rape kits, because I saw something flash just now, so I'll answer to it. The rape kit is supposed to be now wrapped up and taken into the investigators, so that correct forensics and DNA analysis can be done, so that the perpetrator can be apprehended. So it serves a very practical purpose.
Experiences that we've had in, over and over, in ways that, Nigeria unfortunately has failed its average citizen in certain respects, right? So that's why you have people that can comment and say, I mean, why are we even, is this thing just for show? Will it actually lead to anything?
It is. Look, we all have a responsibility, I think, to a great extent, that in Nigeria, a sort of, I don't want to call it skepticism, but there is it a sense of hopelessness sometimes? I really don't see why I'll spend money to go and get a rape kit and not give it in to the investigator. If I do give it in and it's taking too much, then talk. Everybody should learn to speak out. After a particular time, you should come and talk. If you talk to NGOs that have been successful in this area, you'll find that they have had to push. In the beginning of anything, or when you're trying to change attitudes, or you're trying to make people behave differently, as regards taking DNA and forensics, yes, we don't have a DNA lab, but you do have suspects. So you'll be able to know that this suspect is actually the person that did this crime. So we will start somewhere. If everybody sits down and says it's a hopeless case, then things will be terrible. You can't do that in any society. It's just not the right way.
Right. And then the last question I have for you is that, yesterday the Director General of NAPTIP was suggesting that we need to create special rape courts, right? So in Edo State, we already have our own special trafficking courts, which expedites the trafficking cases. What do you think of that idea? Do you think something like that is necessary? And would it make a difference if we're actually able to develop something like that? Would it give more confidence to people to actually come out and speak about their assaults?
Well, again, I'm back to attitudes. We have family courts already, but that doesn't stop a policeman making some snide comment or nasty comments to a person when the person is raped. That does not stop a judge saying, go and settle and come back here. So these are attitudinal things we still need to face. And of course, having special courts does not make the criminal justice system go faster. So these are all things we need to address, because the system has to be fast for everything. It's good for it to be fast for things like rape, because it's highly traumatic, but it's also pretty traumatic when it's a straight murder and there are people, family people involved. So there are some big systemic issues that we have to deal with, but we have to start somewhere. And it helps if the people are aware and they keep people in government like myself or other people on their toes. Everyone should be kept on their toes in the three arms of government. So informed talk, informed discussion, informed criticism for me is very, very helpful. It will help the system. But nobody should give up.
Right, but then whose responsibility it is to train? You know, we know that police act a certain way. That's probably the reason why most people don't feel like they will have access to justice. Isn't it part of the government's responsibility to say, if we know we have a problem, when is the training going to happen that can start to actually change some of that mindset of what's happening in the US right now? Yeah. People are saying, we will not allow you to continue to degrade and treat Black and brown people the way that you are. And so you now see police departments that are overhauling their system, that are going to demand that if you are a bad cop, a bad officer, you are removed from the system. How can we start to make people accountable when reports are made and we just see, you know, the same thing happening over and over again? When is the training going to actually happen so that we start to see the change that we want and the people are actually requesting?
Well, training has already started, actually. I know that there are different types of training going on. I know that the rule of law and anti-corruption that has intervened very positively in, it's a program that has intervened very positively in Edo State, is conducting different trainings around. I know that there are other organizations that are involved in this, the UNODC, the ICRC. There are different trainings going on, and the government itself is doing that in different states. It's a process, it's a process. So we've started. That is actually what I want to say. We just need to continue, and we need to realize that the change we're talking about in America that we're seeing now has taken decades to come about. I mean, we saw the lying report that came after those policemen killed George Floyd. We saw. I mean, so that is what would have happened if something fundamental hadn't occurred. I see this very much as a season of change. I mean, these are some of the changes and alignments that have got to happen right now. Post-COVID, there will be some fundamental changes if we allow them to happen. So we should continue to push, and we should continue to strive. For me, I believe that UWA has not died at all in vain, and we have to there are suspects, the police is continuing, and definitely something will come up of it. And I think with all the other cases, something will come of them. And gradually, we will be building up a DNA database, and we will be building up all the different things that we need. The sexual offenders register is something, we've already got one at national level. We have one in Lagos, we have one in Ekiti, and we are in the process of getting one. I should say by September, we will have one that is linked to the national database. These are all beginnings, you know. We do not despise the day of small beginnings. And that is what we have.
Well, you know, Professor, you know that we will certainly be following up with you on that. We will certainly be, asking you the necessary questions because this is, I mean, it's such an important subject. And I wanted to just thank you for the time that you took to join us today and for sharing your wisdom with all of us. We appreciate you, and we wish you all the best in your continued work, not just on everything else that you're doing, but also particularly with trafficking, where we work closely. So thank you for your time. Thank you.